Hey, what's up, YouTube? Welcome to the Credit Plug channel where we talk about how to build credit, how to establish relationships with banks and financial institutions, and how to get you access to high limit credit funding. If that's something you like to listen to, we definitely welcome you to subscribe. If not, you can always support us just by hitting that like button or the share button or even just commenting right down below. So for today's video, I have a couple credit union updates. So the past couple weeks, I've been covering a variety of different credit unions, and throughout this process of going through some of these credit unions myself, as well as just some of the feedback that I've been getting from other subscribers and clients, I just wanted to give a couple updates on some of the information so that it could better help prepare some of you if you are considering pursuing credit products from a variety of different credit unions. So first, I wanted to follow up with, I did a video on SECU, and I did gather some data points from SECU in terms of the process. And SECU is very similar, I would say, to AODFCU, but maybe a little bit more established in terms of their process. But one thing that several of these credit unions have in common, so I would say SECU, AODFCU, and even DCU. So I'm beginning to find out that a lot of these credit unions are using the Equifax FICO 5 credit score. So for those of you who've had success with AODFCU, SECU of Maryland uses the same exact data to make their credit decisions. Now, how lenient they are in terms of like what their limits would be, that I'm still collecting, but they do use the same exact credit model. They pull from the same bureau and use the same FICO 5. So that's one important thing, to consider too. So, if you had success with AODFCU, then you may be able to, potentially have the same level of success with SECU. And then another thing too with SECU, the hard pull is good for 30 days. So if you want, you can double dip on multiple credit products. And that's actually a game changer, because being able to add additional accounts without incurring additional inquiries, that's actually one of the most important aspects, at least, from my perspective, in terms of building credit. I utilize that a lot with like American Express, where after my first initial hard pull, I was able to add additional accounts without getting additional inquiries, which then, because I wasn't getting those additional inquiries, then I can go to other banks and get other, apply for other credit, because they're not seeing those inquiries being generated. And then another advantage to this too, and this is a strategy that I use, and as a matter of fact, a lot of other people utilize too, where instead of applying for credit accounts spaced out, and the reason why you don't want to do that is because, for one, as you add additional accounts, that new account is going to lower your average age of accounts. And then on top of that, let's say if you're waiting 3 to 6 months or whatever, let's say 3 months between applications, by the time you apply for that next account 3 or 4 months later, that account you applied for 3 months prior, that's still considered a new account. And a lot of banks and credit unions, they are denying people because of how recent they've applied. So, the strategy that I utilize is basically applying for credit accounts, maybe 2 to 3 max at the same time. When I say at the same time, I mean literally pulling up the applications in different tabs, filling out the information for each one, and then have them in separate minimized tabs, and then hit the apply button for all 2 or all 3 of them at the same time. The reason why you want to do that is because when you do that, those applications are querying the credit bureau's database at the same time. So the key to that is you know, you're not giving each of those applications enough time to post that inquiry. And the reason why you want to do it all within, seconds of each other is because, it takes a minute or two before that inquiry hits. So if they're all querying at the same time, it may, like, application A may not see the other inquiries from the other application. So, or application B might not see the inquiry from A or from C. So when you do that all at the same time, it's as if those other inquiries don't exist. Of course, you're going to get hit with those inquiries after the fact, but let's say if you did it like an hour, split them out like, an hour apart or 30 minutes apart. By the second application, that application, they're going to see the inquiry from an hour ago. So the timing of this process is very critical. And I've actually had a lot of success with clients and getting them approvals utilizing this. And another thing too, new accounts, right? Sometimes it might take 30 days, 45 days for a new account to show up. So the benefits of, having your accounts grow together on top of applying before those new accounts show up, that's also, a critical aspect too, because, the financial institution might see an inquiry, but they haven't seen that new account yet. And so the inquiries, I wouldn't say are necessarily killing people in terms of like getting shut down, from having a lot of inquiries. I mean, that is a consideration, but it's the recent accounts from a month, 2 months, 3 months. Because remember, any account that's less than 3 months, that's considered a brand new account. So you want to let those accounts usually age, I would say 4 to 6 months before you even start applying for new accounts. Like, you got to let those accounts age, right? So the key to all this whole process is really, to do it all within the same window so that each of those applications are kind of, the decision is making independent of each other. So if the credit bureaus aren't seeing those applications, they're not seeing those new accounts, it increases your chance. But if you space them out even a day or an hour, you're giving the credit bureaus enough time to post those inquiries. Or, if you're waiting, 30 days or 2 months to apply for another account, you're giving the credit agencies enough time to post that new account, and then that lowers the approval odds on subsequent applications. So that's just a strategy that I use. But going back to some other credit union updates, I did a video a couple months ago now on NIH FCU. Now, this is a credit union that's for people who work in like the healthcare field, biomedical field. I'm actually a member. I've opened up a savings account a while ago. But anyways, I was on the phone the other day with one of the representatives because I was trying to get a sense of what their underwriting process is. I was really trying to pry information out of, the actual lending officers. And I was able to get some valuable data points. So the first thing I tried to figure out was, what bureaus do they use to make credit decisions? And first of all, what the lending officer told me was that as long as you have a decent credit profile, then you could essentially get approved for anything. Those were, his words. I'm paraphrasing, but those were essentially his words. And then in terms of the bureaus that they pull, they said that they do it at random. So, and the reason why is because, they don't want to, from what I was told, they don't want to, show any bias towards any particular credit bureau, whether that's Experian, TransUnion, or Equifax. So what that leads me to believe is that they may pull multiple, credit bureaus, or they may just, like he said, pull one at random. So my suggestion with that is, and I haven't experimented with this, and I'll probably will, just to provide the rest of you with some data points, but if there's a particular credit bureau that has any recent inquiries or recent accounts, or whatever your strongest one is, lock the other one or two. I would say probably just lock one of them. Probably lock your weakest credit report, whichever one has the most number of inquiries or the most new accounts. So like in my case, I just got an inquiry from Equifax, and then I would say my highest credit score is probably right now, it's probably TransUnion, and then I don't know, I'd probably lock my Equifax or my Experian, depending. But and then another data point too, their inquiries are good for 30 days as well. And this is another great thing about some of these credit unions having these inquiries good for 30 days. You could double dip on certain products, and they're still using that same credit score. Even if your current credit score may have dropped because of that inquiry, they're still going by the one that they pulled within the most recent 30 days. And then I was also told, in terms of their credit products, the way that they do the approvals, and this is a mistake that I learned with AODFCU, and you also have to confirm like what their procedure is, because what my concern was is if I shot too high for a limit. So if I requested 30,000 and I couldn't get approved at 30,000, if that was just a straight up denial or if they countered. So I learned with NIH FCU that you could shoot for whatever 25,000, 30,000. If internally they can't approve you at that limit, then they'll counter you with something. So that's just another little nugget. Always shoot for the highest after you've confirmed that that's the process that they go about. So I know AODFCU does that, as well as NIH FCU. So I will be providing some data points on that particular credit union pretty soon. But yeah, other than that, that's all I wanted to share with this video. And if you're interested in building primary accounts, you can email me, info@creditplug.com. Also, I'm having a live Zoom webinar Sunday, May 3rd on how to trigger automatic approvals, and we'll be just diving deep into how some of the algorithms for a variety of different financial institutions work, and how do you position your credit profile to meet the requirements of what these algorithms are looking for when they do give you an approval or denial. So we'll be diving a little bit deeper into that. That's Sunday, May 3rd from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you're unable to attend live, then we will be sending out a recorded video of that particular webinar and sending a private YouTube video link for all the participants in that webinar. So if that's something you're interested, I'll be posting the link in the description for you to register. So until next time, y'all take it easy, and we'll talk to you soon. Peace.